James Bond is a code name. Across the films, Bond has been played by 6 different actors: Connery, Lazenby, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, Craig. Different faces, different ages, different eras. Yet each one steps into the same job immediately. Same number, same clearance, same reputation. No explanation is ever given. MI6 itself already works this way. M changes, Q changes, even Moneypenny changes. These aren't treated as shocking events. The 00 designation works the same way. Agents die, new ones take their place. So it's strange that James Bond would be the only identity that never changes. But there are also moments that blur the line. Roger Moore's Bond visits Tracy's grave, even though she only appeared in George Lazenby's film. Brosnan's Bond references gadgets from Connery's era. This shows that history carries over, even when the face doesn't. Seen this way, Bond behaves less like a man and more like a file. Missions are inherited, enemies recognize the name, not the person. The legend stays intact while the individual disappears. If that's true, then the continuity problems vanish. And if James Bond 007 being a codename is never revealed, you can only wonder what else is hidden. Bond being immortal? A secret child? Or even a secret James Bond movie? The Rock is secretly a James Bond movie. When The Rock released in 1996, it was openly discussed as a Bond movie without the name. Sean Connery returning to action, a spy thriller, one last mission. Even the marketing leaned into Connery's Bond image. Connery pushed rewrites to the script. He insisted John Mason be explicitly tied to British intelligence. That detail matters. Mason isn't a random criminal. He's former SAS, trained in covert operations, Black Ops, the exact background Bond always had. Then there's the timeline. Mason says he was captured in 1962. Remember, Dr. No released in 1962. He also says he escaped in 1963. From Russia with Love was released in 1963. Finally, he says he was recaptured shortly after and imprisoned off the books. And if you take in the fact that Connery stopped playing Bond in the early 70s, you'll see the dates line up. Another clue in the movie is that Mason officially doesn't exist. No birth records, no files. Both British and American intelligence deny him. The last not-so-subtle hint is that Connery doesn't play Mason differently. Same cadence, same charm, same calm under pressure, and the same knowledge of espionage tradecraft. Seen this way, Bond didn't retire. He was erased, locked away, and forgotten. It kind of reminds me of someone in Skyfall, something related to gold. Skyfall is MI6 brainwashing facility. In the 2012 movie Skyfall, the Skyfall Lodge is framed as Bond's childhood home, his past, his emotional core, but the film never actually proves that. And that matters, because Skyfall functions less like a memory and more like a trigger. Fans say Bond believes he's James Bond because MI6 trained him in Skyfall Lodge. Fans notice that every time Bond is near it, he reacts strangely. Even the name Skyfall is treated with reverence by everyone. Then there's Silva. He's the key comparison. Former MI6, same handler, same devotion to M, same willingness to die for the job. The only difference is that Silva breaks. He realizes he was used, disavowed, and rewritten. And once that clicks, everything turns violent. This is probably why Silva knows Skyfall. He predicts Bond will bring him there. I suspect it's also why he attacks it, like someone destroying the place where he had a traumatic experience. Even Bond's word after the destruction of Skyfall is, "I always hated this place." This means Skyfall was not a home, but a conditioning site. Bond doesn't question any of this. He follows the pattern, returns to the place, protects M, completes the loop. Silva is what happens when the conditioning fails. Bond is what happens when it works. Fans of the franchise always insist that the film never confirms Bond's memories are real. It only shows how deeply he believes them. So what do you believe to be true? This or our next theory? There are multiple Bond universes. Before 2006, every Bond movie happens in a world where invisible cars exist, space lasers are normal, and gadgets regularly break the laws of physics. Then Casino Royale hits, and suddenly everything changes. The tech is more believable. We all thought the tone was shifting to more conventional stunts. But what if it's not? What if it's because this is a different Bond in a different universe? This theory argues that each Bond actor exists in its own universe. Same name, same job, different rules. That explains why Brosnan's Bond can survive cartoon-level chaos, while Craig's Bond feels closer to a blunt instrument who barely makes it out alive. Different physics, different limits. It also explains repeating faces. Judi Dench's M isn't the same woman jumping timelines. She's a constant. Every universe has an M. Every universe has a Bond. The roles stay consistent even when the details change. Villains work the same way. Each Bond's Blofeld looks different and acts different. But occasionally, the films blur the edges. Bonds reference past events that technically shouldn't belong to them, like echoes bleeding through. In this theory, Bond isn't one continuous life. He's a constant that keeps reappearing, just different worlds in the same problem, and James Bond always shows up to deal with it. All James Bond are the same person, just reborn. Across the different movies, James Bond appears as a different actor, different faces, same name, same job, same number. The movies never show Bond aging out naturally. It seems when one version ends, another simply appears. Bond's wife is killed on Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is George Lazenby's Bond, but we see Roger Moore's Bond visit her grave. No explanation, no reset. How did he remember it? Is it possible that Bond reincarnated in a new body? Or his memories are transplanted to a new person? One clue that supports this is in the Spectre. The opening title card says, "The dead are alive." It's the first thing the movie tells you. Bond also can't walk away. He quits in Casino Royale. He's pulled back. He retires again. He comes back again. Every time, no matter the era. Then there's Blofeld. Different actors, same obsession. He always recognizes Bond immediately. In Spectre, he says he's been shaping Bond's life for years across multiple events, like this rivalry already existed before this version. The films never treat Bond like a man who ends. They treat him like a role that restarts. Same instinct, same draw to danger, same outcome. Bodies change, memories carry over, and the movies never tell you why. Bond is doomed to fail. We all know Bond is terrible at being a spy. He announces his name, flirts with every villain's assistant, and drives cars that scream, "Look at me." Any real operative would be quietly blending in, taking notes, and leaving no trace. Not Bond. He's the exact opposite. But what if James Bond isn't bad at espionage by accident? What if he's bad on purpose? In almost every film, Bond breaks the first rule of spying. He gives his real name. He wears tailored suits in hostile territory. He drives rare cars that attract attention. In Casino Royale, he introduces himself to Le Chiffre within minutes. In Goldfinger, he announces who he is before the mission even starts. No disguise, no cover story, nothing. That's strange. Real intelligence work doesn't look like this. It's quiet, anonymous, forgettable. Bond is none of those things. He's loud, public, impossible to miss. Now look at what happens around him. While Bond is gambling, racing, or getting captured, entire villain operations collapse off screen. Facilities are raided, information leaks, armies move in at the exact right moment. I believe someone is doing real spy work while Bond is busy being visible. MI6 even labels the 00 program as "License to Kill." Not gather intelligence, not blend in. Kill. Create chaos. This explains why Bond draws attention like a flare. This way, villains focus on him. Meanwhile, quieter agents move unnoticed and finish the job. That also explains why Bond survives things he shouldn't. Missed shots, delayed explosions, last-second rescues. If he dies too early, the distraction ends. So maybe Bond isn't the spy. He's the bait. James Bond is immortal. This theory explains why James Bond survives everything that's thrown at him. It starts in Live and Let Die. Remember Baron Samedi, the henchman of Mr. Big? Fans notice that he isn't treated like a normal henchman. He's shot, burned, bitten by snakes, thrown into danger, and never clearly killed. The film never explains it. Then there's the ending. Samedi appears again, laughing on the front of a moving train. No reaction from the characters, no follow-up. He's just there. All of these matter because Live and Let Die establishes that voodoo is real in the Bond universe. Solitaire predicts events correctly. This means tarot readings line up. Bond survives his encounter with Samedi and leaves the island alive. Samedi does too. After that, Bond's luck becomes extreme. Poison that should kill him doesn't. Falls that should break him don't. Explosions miss by inches. Bullets always land somewhere else. This happens again and again and again across decades. The films never give a reason, but since Samedi is real and voodoo works, Then Bond walking away wasn't random. Something attached itself to him, and that explains everything. Bond isn't surviving because he's the best. He's surviving because he's protected, which raises the problem. Is this a curse or a blessing? The answer doesn't matter to Bond. He just keeps going. Moneypenny is a code name, not a person. Every time Bond changes, Moneypenny changes too. Lois Maxwell plays her through Connery, Lazenby, and early Moore. Carolyn Bliss appears when the tone shifts. Samantha Bond arrives with Pierce Brosnan. Naomi Harris shows up with Daniel Craig. The pattern is too obvious to ignore. Now look at the job itself. Moneypenny always sits in the same place, same desk, same access. She hears classified calls. She sees mission files. She knows when agents die. The films never explain why a secretary has that level of clearance. Then Skyfall changes things. Naomi Harris's Moneypenny isn't behind a desk at all. She's in the field. She shoots. She fails. She's reassigned, and suddenly she's back at MI6, behind the same desk. That looks less like a career accident and more like a pipeline. There are also lines that stand out. Bond repeatedly jokes that Moneypenny knows too much. No one ever corrects him. And look at M. Different actors, same title, same authority, same office. The films openly admit M is a position, not a person. If M is a codename and Q is a codename, then Moneypenny being one fits perfectly. And this changes how we see MI16 completely. MI16 doesn't care who you are, only that you serve. Bond is suicidal. Bond drinks constantly and excessively. This is shown in almost every era. He downs shots before missions. He keeps drinking after injuries. No one ever tells him to stop. Bond also ignores basic survival instincts. He drives at full speed with no plan. He enters fights alone when backup exists. He charges into rooms instead of waiting. These aren't required for the mission. He chooses them. Look at Casino Royale. Bond is poisoned. He collapses. He almost dies. After surviving, he doesn't slow down. He goes right back into the job. In Skyfall, he's shot, falls off a bridge, and is presumed dead. When he returns, his physical tests show he's not fit for service. He knows this, but he keeps going anyway. Looking at Bond's state of mind, it's not strange. Bond has lost everyone: his parents, Vesper, Tracy, allies across multiple films. Each loss is followed by riskier behavior, not caution. Fans believe that Bond keeps stepping closer to the edge, not to win, just to see if this time it finally ends. And it never does.